Hey, this is Brian O'Halloran. You might know me from such films as Clerks, Vulgar, Brutal Master. You're listening to the Timo and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hark, the Herald Handsome Pants. Harley.
That's me.
Sure is. Sorry, I went off the reservation. I know I went off the reservation. I was thinking of H words. I'm like, Hark. Hark. I'm using Hark the Herald Handsome Pants. There we go. So,
Herald Handsome Pants. There you go.
Yeah, it was a bit of a reach.
Well,
bit of a reach.
Hey, that's okay, brother. That's okay.
Yeah. So, let's see, Mr. Harley, couple things real quick. First up, as we record this, we are about 2 days out from the 4th of July.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
I'm ready to blow my hand off. How about you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got a few fingers left. Might as well get rid of those while we're at
it. Right.
Who needs those?
Exactly. I'd say 4th of July, but I learned when I used to tour that the way they say it down in Arkansas is the 4th of July. So it's July. So we'll never.
Is that like mint julep? Is that right?
Yep. Won't ever forget that. So when you're pulled over on the highway and the cop is wearing one of those cowboy cop hats, just pull your wallet out. Start counting your dough. Start counting your dough. And hide your pot quick. So let's see here. Moving on. Well, anyway, so hopefully everybody had a good 4th of July. By the time you hear this, 4th of July will be over.
July.
Yes, sir. And then actually by the time you hear this also, well, maybe not. So today as we drop this, when this gets uploaded into the internets, into the digital domain, the realm of conspiracy theories, when it goes up into the ether, as you will, it will be Sunday morning. And Sunday evening... What's the date on that? It'll be July 7th. July 7th. So if you're hearing this on Sunday, July 7th, get your butt up, look at a map, make sure you're within an hour or so of Toledo in Ohio, and then get to St. Clement's Hall. And is it actually proper to Toledo? Is it Toledo proper?
Okay. Yes, that is Toledo. Yes,
and see, doors are at 4 and bell time's at 5. There will be a wrestling extravaganza.
Yeah, get there to see Ray Orndorff get the beating of his life.
Oof.
Watch us beat that old card table till his legs fold up from under him.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can he disqualify you since he's officially a referee?
Actually, he's wrestling. Well, I don't know if he can still do that.
You might as your lawyer, you might want to look at the fine print.
Yeah. You know how them referees work. You know, they can do what they want when they want. Yeah. So, you know.
They're about as crooked as they come. I know. Right. So tonight, so if you hear this after Sunday of this week, if you're even listening to it, the week that it drops, you're too late. So we will report back next week from your wrestling event. Isn't it July Fireworks or something like that?
July Fireworks.
July Fireworks.
Yeah, July Fireworks. And trust me, Tim, there will be fireworks aplenty.
Nice. Well, I think me and the family will be there to see the August antagonistics. Or the August antagonize. I don't know. Be there in August to see your show, so...
Yeah, I'm so excited about that, buddy. Yes, it's going to be a grand time. And
it will. So that'll be after Angie is done with her cancer treatments and to report in the space-time continuum again. We are past the halfway point, which is a good thing. So it's they're starting to take a little physical toll on her, rumbly tummy, things like that. Stuff you hear about, little nausea, things like that. So far, everything is livable as long as the results are good. Everything.
Yes,
you can deal with it. So we are chugging right along.
Yeah, good.
Yesterday we actually got home from chemo and radiation, Mr. Ben Harley, and I went upstairs and I had a wild hair up my butthole. You know those wild
so.
hairs? They're not like normal wild hairs, right?
No,
These are like the normal wild hairs that people send to labs to have studied to make sure they're not Bigfoot hairs.
That's right.
Well, I hung a screen upstairs, Mr. Ben Harley.
You what?
I hung a
You
screen.
did, huh?
Yeah, I hung a big screen to pull down. And
man.
it was previously the big screen in my theater at the old house.
Yeah.
And so got a couple of anchors and hooks and stuck them up in the ceiling, and now I can pull down a screen in front of my television, and instead of 75 inches, you can get 120 inches.
Whoa.
Yes, of goodness.
Check you out. How's it look, though? Is it good?
Not too bad. Looks good.
Yeah.
Yep. I need to do some adjusting to it. We just did it last night, so... But I think I finally, it isn't like wires everywhere and stuff. I did it very simply and very easily.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, I think it'll be good. So if you see me next time and my eyes look like saucers, it's because I'm watching the big screen way too much and sitting too close. So.
Right, yeah. Timmy, you might need a break from the big screen.
Yes. We did test it out last night. I want to report back real quick. We did test it out and watched Stand By Me. Of all things.
Okay.
So Angie was in the mood for something mellow, and we watched Stand By Me. I always forget how good the movie is, even though I know it's good.
Yeah.
But you always forget at least one cast member of that movie watching it.
Man, there's so many in that.
Yes.
Too. That's like the outsiders as far as
It is. It is.
cast members for sure.
When you see John Cusack and go, I forgot he was in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to see it again. What a tremendous movie and a tremendous story. Just a nice, God, it just, especially if you're a male, it's like a youthful male bonding type of thing. And if you lived in the age before everyone stared at a screen.
Yeah, and when you actually went outside and did things like this and actually... Yeah, it's there's only a few movies, Tim, I've ever really watched in my lifetime that give me that type of feeling where you're like, you long for your youth. This kind of does. The old Tom Sawyer for me does. And you miss those days and the guys that you hung out with like that,
Right.
You knew the guys, you could still name them to this day,
Yep.
But I miss those type of movies in those days too. Buddy.
Yeah, I do too. And then I sort of think that's what they were trying to bring back with Stranger Things. It just didn't have that. It had the mood a little bit. Maybe that's what it was missing. It had the right styles and things, but there was a mood.
Yeah, I almost took a leap on that the other day.
Yeah,
is it worth it or what?
You'd have to try it for yourself. I didn't like it. I'm
looking at that in Castle Rock. There's that Castle Rock.
We did start that. I have not even reported on that because I just keep forgetting. We watched, I think, 2 episodes of it, and I have to admit, I'm not tapping out yet. I'm mildly interested in what's going on. It isn't like, here's my dog, Cujo, wink, wink. No, I haven't seen anything like that so far. As a matter of fact, if you weren't thinking about it, you'd forget.
Okay. Cool.
You do hear Castle Rock. What you know of.
Yeah.
But we just watched. Let me ask you a question. We just watched. I don't know why I'm asking you this because I know that.
Why are you asking me?
It's like I know you're not going to know this, but I'm going to bring the question up anyway. When I was watching Stand By Me last night, it was in Castle Rock, but Castle Rock, Oregon.
Isn't it Maine?
It's supposed to be Maine, and I was just curious about that. I was like, huh. And I didn't look because we weren't reviewing it or nothing. I just wanted to watch a movie, so I didn't try to look into it or anything. But it is kind of curious. I'm like, huh. Oregon. Well, but yes, Castle Rock does take place in the Stephen King universe. You could try it, but I think there's only 10 episodes. I'm not too sure it did too well. So I don't know.
I didn't either. Yeah, because I thought it was kind of a big deal when it came out or was coming out.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear much about it after that. But usually you hear people talking about it. I've heard a lot of talk about Stranger Things and not... people saying, what, you haven't watched that? So then I know, same thing with The Walking Dead when that came out. You were not watching that? So I know people are in tune with it. I didn't hear much about Castle Rock, though, at all.
Well, I've kind of come to the conclusion that if I'm hearing people talk about things and how it's cool and stuff,
so you want to stay away from it?
Yeah, I probably should stay away from it and go to the thing that people don't like because I read things that people didn't really like this show. And so far I'm like, well, I like this a lot better than anything else I'm seeing. Then again, I gravitate toward movies from the 50s. I gravitate toward anything from the 80s back.
Right.
I'm not really into, whatever they're shelling out today.
Right. Yeah. Well, we just watched Sopranos 6 months ago for the first time. So
right.
I'm a little behind too on that, but and I actually enjoyed that. It was different, but I know we were on a pretty good run, Wendy and I, with some shows. So I have to find something here new for us.
Well, you could try Castle Rock. You might find it a little more interesting knowing a little bit more about Stephen King.
Yeah.
If it only goes for 10 episodes, I might even be happier. That it's over, that I just want to see something and see it end. But
I'll have to take a jump or leap off Castle Rock or take a look at Stranger Things. One of the two, maybe both.
My opinion is Strange or Castle Rock, but my opinion is never very popular. It's never very popular. So it's only the degenerates and the outcasts of society that agree with me and listen to the show. So there's a lot of you though, at least 6
there
of you.
There is a lot of us out there. There's a few.
Yeah.
Well,
but it was fun though watching Get My Stand By Me. It was fun, and I really do enjoy that movie. Yeah, I'm interested to see like what I see in the show in Castle Rock, but once you start watching, you kind of quit looking for stuff. I think you hear Shawshank and things like that. So you hear a few familiar things, but give them a shot. Yeah. Give it a shot. That's what I would do. That's what I would
it's
do.
Funny because that's not far from us either. Mansfield, that prison. Mm-hmm. They, actually, a good friend of mine did a little jaunt in Mansfield.
Did he had a little residency there? Did he?
Yeah, it was funny when he was 18. He's a few years older than me, but he was only there briefly before he got transferred when they were shutting it down, so, but we always tease him.
I'm sure. You remember that time? You remember that span you spent in the clink?
That time when you were in Shawshank Redemption. Remember that time? And you were an extra on Shawshank. But, he's paid his debt to society, Timo. He's all right.
Very good. His name wouldn't happen to be Andy Dufresne, would it? I just want to make sure.
How did you know?
Well, I'm telling you, so.
He's innocent, damn it.
All right. Well, try out Castle Rock. See what you think since you got the Hulus. Let's see. Moving forward here, Mr. Ben Harley. Few things I watched this week. Now I did tell you that I've been watching westerns. Yeah, I got to a movie called Bend in the River from 1952 with Jimmy Stewart in it.
I just saw something about that.
Well, Julie Adams is in it from Creature from Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
So I was good. It was really good. I was really surprised, and I got a DVD of it, and man, does it look good for a 1952. Now it is in Technicolor, so it's kind of nice, but it's a full frame, and I think it was shot in full frame, being it was in 52 and everything. But oh my god, it did look good, and I was actually rearranging movies, Mr. Ben Harley, which can distract me. It could be a bit of an arduous task, And I have to admit that normally I'll throw on like something like this, like a Western or kind of a 70s crime drama, just to be in the background and kind of watch it while I'm doing other stuff. I had a real hard time taking my eyes off this movie. I really did. Yeah, it was kind of like, it was almost annoying. I was trying to debate whether or not to turn off the movie or to quit doing what I was doing. So it was very good, man. It was a cool movie.
That's good when you come across something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's awesome.
Real simple, and just a lot of the story was sort of handed to you with looks from guys, looks from people and stuff. It was cool. Not like a spaghetti Western where they have the close up on the eyes and they spend a half hour like with a stink eye looking at the camera. No. This was old school American studio acting. It was good stuff though. Yeah. It was good. It was good to watch.
That's good.
To watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that I came across that maybe my Roku or something, I swear, because I was going through some of those westerns the other day to watch.
Let's see, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley, from 1957, I got a nice shiny Blu-ray of this movie.
Yes.
The 1957 classic, The Monolith Monsters.
Ooh, yes.
I always got to watch that movie. I don't know what fascination I have with black diamonds growing in the desert and falling on people. I have no idea, but it's I think it's fascinating they made a great movie about killer rocks.
Right.
Starring Grant Williams from The Incredible Shrinking Man, and directed by not one of your favorites, directed by John Sherwood, who did The Creature Walks Among Us.
Ugh, dumbest movie.
I know you don't like it. Yeah, you don't like it. I don't like it that much either. It's not great. It's weird. It's a little weird.
I was on a creature page the other day, which was kind of neat. on Facebook, and they had a kind of really nice painting of all three movies, which I thought was kind of cool. The painting itself, but then you just go from cool creature to creature attacking people on land, and then you got this thing. Oh man, what is that?
It fizzles.
Kill, man, you got that right. Oh, I'm angry at that movie.
It's got some good creature. It's got some good creature parts, but you're right.
Yeah.
As soon as they get them, as soon as they wrangle and they wrestle them down, it's over.
It's over. I just, yeah. Okay, I digress. Sorry.
Yeah, you're feeling bad for the shark in the movie. I know. I know you're feeling bad for the shark.
Yeah.
So it even started back in the 50s. I know, but. Moving on, Mr. Ben Harley, very last thing we got here.
Yeah.
Very last thing. And I know you've been busy, so I know you really haven't gotten to see much. So I did us a favor. Okay.
Need some okay, good.
No, Amazon Prime has put up 2 films. And it's about 3 hours total, I think. It's a two-part, okay? And these were put out by the Small Town Monsters crew.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
So they've
been getting better.
They have a 2-part series on the Trail of Bigfoot.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So I watched the first one. I can't remember what the subtitle for the part 1 is. Okay. So this is actually Seth Breedlove. That's the guy that was at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference that was selling Minerva Monster when we bought it.
Yeah.
So this is him. This is his story. So he's explaining what got him into all this.
Okay.
And I think if you watch these, you will understand more where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Remember, this is a person who owns a company called Small Town Monsters. And I've never seen anyone go out there who does not have the rose tinted glasses on.
Right.
And is still interested in this and still sees something there. And that's what I like about him.
Yeah.
And let me give you a little example here. And I like this because this is a fact I did not know.
Okay.
Not only that, it's a fact wrapped up in a point, and a really good point. And when you hear it, you're going to know why I like this guy and I like what's going on with these shows. Okay. So let me say right now, I think I found another good Bigfoot show, another good Bigfoot movie. So anyway, so here we go. So he makes a great point. He says, my problem, and this is, we all know this, and it's very legit. My problem is, why don't more people see him? It's not that people don't see him, but why don't they see him enough to confirm it? Okay,
on a regular basis. Okay.
Yes. So he makes the point that between California and Washington, D.C., there's 56 missing planes. They're stationary. Nobody can find them. Now, imagine trying to find something almost not as rare, but moving targets. Yeah. It's like a moving needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. We were looking for those planes. They're stationary. They're metallic.
Yeah.
We can't find them.
We can't find them. Yeah.
They're aircraft. They're not an 8 foot tall, hairy guy that can blend in with trees. You're not going to see that from the air. You're not going to see it walking through a woods.
Nope.
So we're at another one of these shows, Mr. Ben Harley, that's making me very happy. Very, very happy. They are... Oh man, they're talking about the story. What was it? Was it Monkey or Ape Canyon story? The Ape Canyon story. Yeah, they go through that. They talk to the guy that found the site for the Ape Canyon event.
Really?
Yeah. And then they are. It's just good. It's finally we're getting back away from getting your frequency up high enough to talk to a Sasquatch.
Wait, hold on. I'm working.
Oh, don't. Mine's low. Really low on that stuff. Yeah. And I haven't gotten through the whole thing. I think I'm only in the first episode. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, but I'm already telling you, write it down. On the Trail of Bigfoot, Amazon Prime, there's 2 episodes of it. 2 episodes, not one. So when you'll see a little suggestion bar, it'll be there. Okay, so write it down on the Trail of Bigfoot because you need to see both these, and you have about 3 hours of brand new Bigfoot documentary.
Yeah, I need it because it's like I've ran out of stuff. And the other day I was going to go and look at some more, and I'm like, no, there's not any. So it bums me out because I like that stuff, and And then some of them have been decent, and I was feeling so bad that I actually even enjoyed the Todd Standing one that I watched because I'm so bored with, and whatever. And after all these years of watching Money Jabber talk, it's almost refreshing to hear some other, points of views and stuff still, but no, that sounds good, Timo. And that's the thing. The world's a big place. And now we think since we've got all this technology and I could talk to my pal in Russia over Skype, that the world is a lot smaller. No, it's still geographically just as big as it ever was.
Right. And Bigfoot's not using Skype.
No.
Right.
And that is a great point, like you said about the planes, that they can't find these things, man. No. It's this stuff. That's one of my main sticking points too. There's so much wilderness out there, and it would take you days upon days just to get in to these places, just to get into where, you know what I'm saying? And then once you're in there, man, I mean, come on, give me a break. Man.
Yeah, he was, and this is another thing where you're gonna know right away why I'm gravitating toward this. And this guy, he said that when he started this, he just was interested. He didn't know what to do. He didn't have any gear. He didn't have a tent. He just, when he started doing, I think he's from northeastern Ohio. I'm pretty sure that's where he's from. And he said, I just started driving the back roads.
And I just started driving, which isn't far from here at all.
Right. But he said, I just started driving and looking for myself. I didn't know what to do. I just went out into the world and started driving. And he said he actually, what started him down this whole road is he stopped. He saw an older couple walking on a back road, like if me and Angie were walking on our road, which we do. And he stopped and he said, look, I know this is crazy. Do you have any stories or do you know any weird things that are happening back here, as far as like a larger animal or something? And he said they immediately started telling him that they have found a bunch of animal carcasses on their land. They found a deer ripped in half and one of it slung over a tree. Now,
jeez,
they live there.
Yes.
Do you see where I'm coming with this? And I think he was kind of getting to the point where I've never seen anything driving because my automobile makes noise.
Right.
Right. I walk through the woods, I make noise.
Yeah.
You sit down and you start zoning out. Like when we sit outside at night, we zone out and look at the woods. We might not say a word for 10 minutes, which Angio just loves, actually. She probably just wants me to shut the fuck up. Okay.
Yeah.
So we sit back there and that's when we hear stuff.
Yeah.
That's when we hear the deer traipsing through the woods. That's when the owls start really getting crazy. It's when you start making a commotion, though, it gets quiet. Even insects.
Yep. And exactly. And then that's the thing too. And it's like, it's funny, Timo. You and I just off air here. We're talking about he's not a little guy, my woodchuck out back here. but I have my little nature preserve I got going out back. And it's funny. I've learned their patterns just within the last 3 weeks or month that I've been doing it a little longer, but the more I sit out there and stuff, and it's funny because I'll go out there and there'll be some out and I'll lay out the feed and put stuff out, on the bird feeders and things. And I can sit out there and wait. And it's usually about the time that I'm like, okay, I'm about done sitting here. They'll start coming. And it's funny because a couple birds will fly by first. They do a flyby. And then they go in this one tree or bush right by where everything is. And then they'll come by again. And it's funny because these animals are they're okay. They're animals, but they're super smart because they don't like predators. They don't want to be eaten. That's the main thing, okay?
Right. And you look hungry.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And, but it's funny because I've learned their patterns a little bit, but they've also learned my patterns. Right. They know. And you know what I'm saying? So what I guess I'm getting at is these are creatures that live in the wilderness, man. They know what's going on. They know how to be stealthy. They know how to stay away from you. Now, like I said, out here, and it's down to about a dozen minutes from the time I put the feed out to the time that they will actually come out there and get the food.
Right.
Because they're not dumb. They're not dumb. They're not going to come out. And so a giant bipedal creature also we're in their territory. I don't care if we do live there. It's also their territory. They know it a little better than we do, at times. You know what I mean? I don't know, buddy. It's fascinating about that stuff. So cool.
Well, what he said too, which it seems so simple, and you've heard me say this, by the way, too.
Yeah.
And he said, I live like Northeastern Ohio. We know that this is Salt Fork and everything. It's very wooded. Mm-hmm. It's very wooded. Yes. It's hilly. I mean, it's called mountains, but they're big hills. They're mini mountains, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nature, man. He said, I get out of my East Coast, whatever. I go to like Oregon and California, and I start seeing I can't believe the space. It's all wilderness.
Yes.
No human foot has touched a lot of what they're talking about up in the Pacific Northwest. If you haven't been there, don't tell me what can exist and not exist.
Yeah.
Don't. And I can say that now, even though I could say it before because I was in Colorado. It doesn't stop, really. You get a little desert, you get this, you get that. But what I'm saying is that it's wilderness. It's wilderness. Yes. Believe me, it can exist. And the thing is, too, is they went through the Native American. So this is all stuff you like, too. They went through the totem pole theory. They went through all the other stuff. And they're correct. They're right. And they said, what we get frustrated with is that people think that Bigfoot started in the 50s. No, that's when the word. No. That's when the word did. Yeah. Before that, it was the wild man.
Yep.
Because people hadn't seen gorillas. They hadn't seen them. They've only been seeing gorillas for about 100 years or so, or 100, maybe 50 years or so.
And most of them people probably hadn't seen them even then, because they're rural people and things,
Well, you see what you see, but I think it just wasn't, it's frustrating. It's only frustrating, not because people don't believe it. It's frustrating because they think you're fucking crazy because you think it's possible. And you look at people like, does that even make sense? I mean, does that even make sense that I believe something is possible that thousands of people have seen for thousands of years, and you think I'm stupid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they just found black holes. How stupid were you?
Yeah.
They found that, right? I mean, come on.
And they've been talking about black holes for how long?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and we found giant squid.
They just started finding exoplanets, man. They just started finding planets in the last 20 years, I mean, outside our solar system. But if you believe they were there, were you crazy? No.
Right.
No, and no one had seen them. They just theorized they were there. Well, I theorize a giant monkey man's in my woods. So therefore, I'm just on sturdier ground as you are. How about that?
Exactly. Hey, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Timo.
Well, I get upset because, that point. And I feel like I need an olive branch to our Bigfoot friends because I get a little down on some of the stuff I see and some of the stuff I hear. And I want people to understand, no, I also get upset with people that think that you're crazy for even thinking it's possible. That pisses me off. That's when I'm like, that's when I defend myself. It is. And I do defend myself. When someone says, I don't know, I'm like, well, it is what it is. But if someone looks at me like I'm crazy because they say, well, you believe in Bigfoot? I'm like, it's possible. I've never seen one. I don't have any proof for you, but I've talked to people like, oh, it's crazy. And I'm like, look, I want you to sit down with 5 people and you call them crazy to their face. You tell me they're lying when they tell you their story. You know what I'm saying? That's when I start defending myself. I'm like, I didn't say I saw anything. What I'm saying is I don't call all these people liars, even if 4 of them are liars.
That's the thing. Is not all of them can be lying. And the thing is, there's so many credible people out there. Not that there wasn't before, but people didn't take them serious enough. A lot of people were scared to come out and say anything about it. I mean, I would have been if I was back in the 70s or 80 in any position of power. Come on,
right?
A mayor or a police chief come out and say that? I'll run you out of town on a rail. And so now that the people feel like they can, it's to me it's even more credible. You know? I don't know.
I'm gonna do something, Harley. Here we go for all our people listening that enjoy this, or at least give some kind of empathy or sympathy to someone who's trying to look for something that they saw.
Yeah.
Even if they're hoaxed on, man, that's not their fault. It's not their fault, So, I mean, and clearly not all these are people being hoaxed on, okay? Clearly. No. And I mean, again, you need to sit down with people. I've done the work. So, and you have too. So anybody listening thinks we're crazy. You guys sit down and do the work, and you just talk to other humans, and you decide what you think if it's possible. If it's possible. So here's my thing, Harley, and I'm going to do this, and I think this is what we need to start doing. I'm going to make this viral. When someone comes up to you and says, "Do you believe in Bigfoot?" Whatever your answer is, if it's even mildly positive, maybe even if it's like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I guess everything's possible. If they look at you and do the look, we talked about the look where the eyebrow goes up, like, if they do that, this is the response that we should start giving. What threat is it to you?
Yeah.
What threat is it? Why do you have such a visceral response to this?
Yeah.
Is it, are you worried? Are you worried your wife might run off with one? What's wrong? Why do you hate the fact that I might think this, you know?
Why you hate Bigfoot so much?
Why does the possibility of its existence such a threat to you? And I think there's something there. I think I'm not taking a wife away, but I'm just saying. But I'm saying I think there is something there. I think we want to be the baddest ass things on 2 feet.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
and I think that people like it's a gang mentality. It's a gang mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't want to. It's just so funny. It's like, what vested interest do you have in it not existing?
Right.
What do you care?
I think a lot of people too, if it did exist, the people that were the ones going, "Oh, you're," calling everybody else morons, would have such egg on their face, and I'd love it. I swear to God, I find out that it's real. Well, I do believe it's real. Mm-hmm. I would be out the day they find one. I'm getting me a sign, and I'm going to be walking up and down the street saying, "I told you so. I told you so."
Right.
Up and down the street. I told you so. And it's going to have Bigfoot's my friend on the other side. And go up and down the street. And I'm going to say, my chakra was right, or whatever.
Right.
Well, no, seriously, man. I don't want to rub it in people's face that bad. But just then again, like, come on, like you said, you have no invested interest in it. If it was real or not, why? And if it was real, wouldn't you think it would be awesome? And it was real? Would that not be a cool thing? A neat thing?
I don't think that's ever going to be, quote, found, because it's already been found and it's considered not found. And that's what bothers me. And I don't think people understand what I'm saying. It's like, why hasn't anyone ever seen it? Like that frosts me.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. So the people that have seen it are not valid humans.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they don't.
So you have to have a degree or a badge or something. And the people with the degrees and badges have seen something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's the ridicule that's keeping people who
bingo.
It's the ridicule that's keeping people who could confirm this to keep their mouths shut. Because why? What vested interest is it in them to say it exists? They don't need that hassle. Yes. Because even if they prove it, Harley, they're not going to. They still won't believe it. I mean, the way the world is today, we've seen this. The truth doesn't matter. It's only your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So your opinion shapes fact, and that's the way it is. So you're just not going to win. It's just not going to happen. So again, I don't think it's going to be found. I don't really want it to be found. I mean, honestly, it's like I kind of don't really want it to be found. It's found as far as I don't want them to. I don't want the United States government or the powers to be to confirm it. How about that?
No. Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
Mm-hmm. They don't deserve it.
No. No. Not at all. And my thing is like, then all the people that would be fucking with it at that point too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and then they'll, what they'll do too. They'll do what they kind of do with the chupacabra. They'll say, "Oh we discovered this, but what this actually is actually it's an offshoot from the silverback gorilla that happens to walk on 2 feet, but it's not Bigfoot. It's not.
Right.
So it's 8 foot tall, walks on 2 feet. It's hairy and kind of has an ape-like feature, but it's not Bigfoot. Well, that's correct. Why? Because Bigfoot doesn't exist, you silly person." That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Exactly. And it's a shame. It's a dirty, rotten shame.
Yep.
But I do like your point, Timo. How would it ruin your day to find out that it was real? Like, seriously, why? What? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of jerks out there.
Why are you threatened by my belief?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I didn't.
Well,
you asked
what's
me.
the threat?
Yeah, you asked me. I wasn't out there talking about it. Why are you know? And it's interesting. It's interesting. But I think that's what we should do. So on the trail of Bigfoot, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes, sir.
That's it. On the trail of Bigfoot. You have to see this. Like when you get off, when you get done doing this, when you're printing or doing whatever.
Yeah.
What, baling hay of t-shirts, baling t-shirts, whatever you're doing, you have to have it on because you will like it and you'll watch it more than once. I promise you'll watch it more than once. So bravo to Seth Breedlove. Thank you, sir. Now I've only seen 1/3 of a 2-part or 2/3 of a 2-part show. I can already say thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate what you've put out there. I appreciate the other shows I've seen that your company's produced. Thank you. I'm floored actually by what I've seen already. So, very excited. Very excited. Speaking of excited, Mr. Ben Harley, I'm excited to do our official little films for this week. Yeah. But there's one that I know that we're gonna chew on for a minute. So let's start here. Let's start with our official films. You want to do that?
Okay.
You got. And I know I'm kind of passing up anything you watched, but I have a funny feeling you watched the back of your hands grasp a squeegee.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, I did not get to watch a whole heck of a lot.
You're becoming more and more Popeye. I'm pretty sure with those forearms and everything. So I'm gonna let you off the hook here. We're gonna jump right into the.
Thank you, my friend.
Jump right into our official little film. So first up, from 1972, we have the British film Doomwatch. Doomwatch. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let me get a short storyline synopsis for Doomwatch. Here we go.
Yeah.
The waters surrounding an island become contaminated by chemical dumping, and people who eat fish caught in those waters become deformed and violent. That's the whole movie.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much.
I mean, that wasn't
a lot of talk.
That wasn't just the pitch. That was the novelization. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Ian Bannon, and let's see, Judy Geeson. They're the two leads of this film here. Now, this was taken off of a television show on BBC. Doomwatch. Okay. So what this is there's Doomwatch is a department, I guess a government department that is dealing with the rampant pollution going on in the world. And so they're like a watchdog group, more or less. And they come in there and they fix shit when we got problems with pollution.
When we mess stuff up. Yeah.
Yes. So I believe that was the show, the show was about. So this is a movie version of that. Now, I don't think Ian Bannon or Judy Geeson were actually in the show. The people that were in the scientists that were grouped together that were trying to figure things out in the laboratory.
Yes.
Those I do believe were the actual stars of the show Doomwatch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think those people were the actual Doom watchers. And for the theatrical movie, they got Ian Bannon and Judy Geeson to kind of do the leads on this. So Ian Bannon's a scientist.
I like her. She was cutie.
Yeah.
She was kind of what's her name?
Well, you've seen her. You've seen her before. Yeah. She was Joan Crawford's daughter in Berserk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And she was even on Mad About You.
Yeah, she reminds me of Angie Dickinson. That's why.
She does a little bit.
A little bit. She's
better looking. Prettier. I like she's better looking. I think too.
Yeah,
but she's known for To Sir with Love, which is a big movie. And then she played Maggie on Mad About You. She's even in Lords of Salem.
Oh,
so
wow,
Rob Zombie's picked her up too because she's actually a good actress. Who's he does do that. He knows how to pick the cast, so he gets her.
Yeah, but he just doesn't know what to do with them once he gets them.
Yeah, sure he does. He gets them real dirty. Just makes them writhe around or something. Yeah. Do something you don't want to see him do. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then Ian Bannon, who plays Dr. Del Shaw. He was in, he actually had an Oscar nomination for Flight of the Phoenix, the original one. And I always remember him from the movie Fright, which I believe came out right at the same time as this. It's a little kind of a greasy suspense thriller, British, where it's a babysitter and he's menacing a babysitter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's not bad. And here's a little tidbit about Ian Bannon, Mr. Ben Harley, that you might find a little solidarity or nothing else to pique your interest. He died in a road accident at Loch Ness.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that's weird.
There's a little backstory. The director, The director Peter Sasdy did Hands of the Ripper, Taste the Blood of Dracula, a couple Hammer things there. So we're in good hands.
We did Hands of the Ripper, didn't we?
I think we did. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then also in this movie is George Sanders as the shifty Royal Navy Admiral, Sir Geoffrey.
Sir Geoffrey.
Yes, you know him from
Geoffrey.
You know him from Picture of Dorian Gray, Village of the Damned.
Yeah. Okay.
He was in the House of Seven Gables, and here's two you're gonna love. Remember, he was in Death Wheelers, and this was Death Wheelers was his last movie. This was his second or third last movie. He was a gentleman that committed suicide after Death Wheelers. The older, he was the butler guy in Death Wheelers, but he's the star of Village of the Damned. He's one of the stars of Dorian Gray, and also he was Mr. Freeze.
Was he?
Yes, in the old Batman.
Mr. Freeze. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good Mr. Freeze. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
He was. Mm-hmm. He was good.
Yeah. So now that I've told you all that,
Sir Geoffrey.
Now that I've told you all that, now we get to the movie. So basically, it's a kind of an early eco horror movie, sort of, but it also has a Wicker Man feel to it, where the town has a secret, and that's kind of a genre of film all into itself. The whole damn town looks funky.
Yes, they do. They
acromegaly,
really
right?
Yeah,
acromegaly or acromegaly. Now, this is a rare disease, but we keep having it pop up in our films this year, Mr. Ben Harley. And I don't know why, but I'm keeping my eye on my mirror because I think it's coming for me. I'm pretty sure. So, but to be honest with you, the whole intrigue of the film is just Ian Bannon trying to figure out what's going on and why people are acting funny.
Yeah.
And it's not like a big shock. What's shocking is they find out that there's been some, what was the term they used here? Mildly radioactive waste.
Yeah.
Well, that's comforting.
Yeah, it's just mild.
Mildly.
And the canisters that this stuff is put in are just popping open. Like if you touch them underwater, they just pop open and start seeping stuff. Right. So we got a little prophecy action going on here.
Yeah, you do.
Like,
you do. You're the start of one. You're the start of prophecy. Yeah. So if you want to see prophecy without the bear, if you want to make fun of the bear anymore, go ahead and watch this movie.
Or a giant monster shark or anything.
Right. So basically everybody's telling Ian Bannon, well, we just have a little bit of nuclear waste down there. It's just slightly radioactive. It can't be that. And they buy this. Yeah. Everyone in the movie buys this. Like, it can't be that. Jeez, what could it be? I'm like, whoa, time out.
It can't be the waste. Nuclear waste.
Radioactive waste as a red herring? I mean, come on. No, I don't think so. So, and then, I mean, there's no swerve. No. There's no twist to that at all. It's just them being convinced that that's what it is. And then them trying to convince the town that's what it is, to convince the town to seek medical help. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's about it.
It's more of a medical thriller than anything else.
A lot of sneering and face, like sneering faces and things in this movie, and a lot of basically they don't want the doctor in town at all. Mm-hmm. At all, and they make it known like right away. Everybody does for the most part. So like that's about, to me, is like the most menacing thing in the movie is how the town folk are just jackasses.
Right,
they are, truly are, And other than that, I said the payoff in this movie is another one of those.
Did you get the feeling that you had a better point of view, or at least a clear visual on the townspeople than Ian Bannon did? Because if you were watching the movie, I'm like, I'm thinking about 3/4 of this movie is the Elephant Man and nobody's saying anything. Like not even Ian Bannon, who's there looking for things. He's taking pictures of people and they're getting upset about it. But everybody's got like bumps on their face and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and they're just kind of ignoring
it. They got that Klingon look where it's like they got these bumps and then their nose, above their nose, has the Cro-Magnon look.
Yeah, like on their brow.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because you're like, hey, Ian, just ask the dude what's wrong with them. I mean, they're all around you, even at the bar.
Yeah.
And they're getting kind of violent, I guess. They're getting in fights with each other and stuff.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's sort of
silly
like,
things,
it's almost like he went there to discover something, and as soon as he gets there, he sticks his head in the sand and still tries to needle people about what's going on. It's just kind of a weird kind of thing. And to be honest with you, like there was one part of the movie that really kind of jumped out to me. It's the part where Ian Bannon, he finds a buried hand. He sees a couple dogs, I think, that are rooting around, and then out of nowhere, Ian Bannon just attacks the dog.
Yeah.
He jumps the dog. The damn thing barely got away. I don't know if you watched it close, but clearly he was hanging on to that dog.
Yeah. The one point he's wrestling it. Yeah.
I looked over at Angel's like, God damn, that dog almost didn't get away. Ran away. But I mean, that's the only funny part. Like, and it was funny because it was silly and stupid, but there really wasn't any. I know this is odd to say, but the rest of the film wasn't made that bad to be that entertaining. It's just about as dry as the British can get, and that's dry, man.
Yes.
It really is, because the movie goes nowhere. Nowhere. It's got a great, interesting idea. A population of people that are isolated on an island. They're getting acromegaly from something dumped, and you find a way to make it dry, uninteresting, and without an ending. I mean, it just doesn't. It literally is an argument at the end about seeking medical help. Yeah. That's about it. I even looked over at Angie. I was like, so he convinces them to get help. They get on a boat, and that's the big end. She's like, yep.
That's the big end.
Okay. Yep. Great. There's a spoiler, but we do not want people to see this.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Harley? I mean, did I kind of throw it all out
there? Well, that's okay, though. This, Tim, I love my British movies and stuff because there's some great, especially the horror ones. But, but like this one for me was just, it wasn't that bad, really. I mean, but it was a lot of talk for zero payoff in this. And it's not that I didn't like all the acting in it was good.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for finally this giant behemoth of a monster of a guy to come out and just start destroying stuff. At one point when that guy he punches out, he kind of goes crazy and he punches out of the a window and jumps out the window. I'm thinking, here it comes. Right. Here it comes. And no. And the biggest part that made me even angry or remotely feel anything is these punk kids throw some rocks at Dr. What's his name? kind of get out of town type thing. And well, that was pretty boring. I was waiting for this monster, but it just, I don't know, buddy. It left a little bit to be desired. Now, one thing, Timo, and I think I'm hopefully I'm going to be proud of myself here. The one lady who he stayed at her place. I do believe that woman played Aunt Beru in the original Star Wars.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're probably right.
Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Remember where Luke came from? Yes. So I kept thinking that lady's face looks so familiar, and it has this piece about it, and it's there's something about her.
You're right.
I'm almost positive. I am almost positive.
Shelag Fraser, or Shelag, or Sheila Fraser. It's spelled Shelagh Fraser. She died in 2000. But yes, that is.
Yep.
That you are correct. Very good. Very good. Excellent. I did not pick that out. Yes. I did not see that.
Yes, I was there's something about her. And for the first couple minutes, I was there's something about her. There's something. But I was there's something pleasant about her.
Yes.
And I know she doesn't have many lines in Star Wars, but I do remember her. So it's just that's her face.
There you go, kid. You got it.
There
you go. There you go.
Aunt Beru.
Nice.
So,
Unfortunately, those are the only interesting things about this movie.
Yes.
I don't think anyone should ever watch this movie. There's no reason for it. Even if you're a fan of the television series, I don't really see any reason to watch this because it's just boring? It's boring. It doesn't go anywhere, and it's got a good idea. Everything is good. Everything is good, but the story, there's no story.
No story.
There's no story, and
it's just
it's just nothing there, and so I'm bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to with you on that. It's just now if there was a like the one guy, there's a part in the bar where where the one guy goes crazy and starts beating up the one little guy because he bought him a drink, and he's basically thought he was insinuating that the guy doesn't have money because the guy, it was tight or whatever. And so he just starts whooping on the little guy. I was thinking that guy's going to come back later as a behemoth monster.
It would have been great. It needed that.
Yeah.
At least the last half hour, it needed a guy who finally lose it, and he's too big to control.
Yeah.
You're right. I needed it. And maybe that guy lived out in the woods or something. I mean, something that was going to make it into something interesting. I mean, and what the hell are they hiding? They're hiding everything from the one person that could probably help them. Too. Like they're all it's like, listen, here's the other thing too. All right. Look, all right.
What was on the island that was so good? First off, what were they building, or what commerce did they have from the island? I didn't see many fishermen.
Their homes. They just didn't want to
dirt
their
farming.
Homes. Yeah.
Dirt farmers, because there wasn't nothing happening on that island.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, listen, and if they wanted to hide from Ian Bannon, maybe if they wouldn't sneak around with lanterns at night under his window, he wouldn't be suspicious of anything. God, go on the other side of the building and do it, for God's sake. Jesus. Just don't sneak around at night in front of him. I mean, it's
and like it looks like they were hauling people into the woods without their consent too, you know.
Yeah, but then they never really talked much about it.
What's going on with this? Yeah.
Almost like people were dying, but they were like trying to hide it. For what? Get help. It's I don't know. There might have been a little piece of that we missed where, I don't know, Navy was paying off the island or something to leave it there. I have no idea, but I mean, there wasn't interesting enough to catch it. The only interesting thing about this movie that I'm going to give some credit for is that what they were concerned about were the cleanup from oil spills. They were cleanup are from spills of that. The detergents and things they use don't really clean the stuff up. It makes it heavier than the water, and it sinks to the ground, so you can't see it anymore. That's a real problem. That's a real world problem. That's actually,
it really is.
Yeah, and that was interesting because this was 1972, and they were already on that tip. And there is an issue with that is a problem that needs to be dealt with. You know, I'm not anti-oil or nothing like that, but if you spill this shit, you got to find a better way. You can't just drop it to the bottom of the ocean thinking it's not going to affect anything, because it's going to affect something. And then the detergent or whatever the chemical is you put on to make it heavy is also killing things. So you're making it worse. So they're making it worse. So they were on that tip. But besides that, just call me up and I'll tell you that. Don't watch the movie.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that thing about cleaning up oil again? Well, that stuff they use is worse than the oil. Well, that's right. Thank you. I almost watched Doomwatch. No, don't do that. No need.
Don't do that.
This is a bad movie. Bad movie.
Yeah, it's just boring. Yeah. So boring. Yeah.
All right, let's move on, Mr. Ben Harley. So,
okay. Yeah.
This was by request of Senor Ben Harley. By request. Yeah. He says he wanted not to watch Godzilla. He did not want to watch Japanese. He wanted to watch Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yes, yeah.
The Americanized version of the beast, the creature, the movie, shall we say here. So let me get out Movie Guy again and give you, not that you don't know what Godzilla is about, but let me just...
Yeah, is this... I don't think I've ever seen this one.
I'm just going protocol here. Here we go. All right.
You go for it, my friend.
All right.
Yeah.
A 400-foot dinosaur-like beast, awoken from undersea hibernation off the Japanese coast by atomic bomb testing, attacks Tokyo. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And there you go. That is what Godzilla's about. Now, little backstory, and most people probably know this. I'm just going to say it anyway. Movie came out in Japan, 1954. Yes. All right.
Yes.
And then I can't recall who bought rights to basically take the movie, re-edit it with Raymond Burr and company in it.
Yes.
To make it an Americanized version of a monster movie, very different though from the Japanese version, story-wise.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. So we have that. So this is I guess what most American... I kept thinking of Danny Hicks. Because Danny said he saw this when he was a little kid. I think he was born in, was it 1950 or 51 or something like that? So he would have been 5 or 6 years old when he saw this. And he was right. Okay. That's about what he said when he was doing the show with this. Yeah. He said he saw Godzilla and he loved it. I do believe his taste has probably gotten a little more strict over the years.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd love it so much now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So anyway,
maybe the Japanese version, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So Ishiro Honda is the original director of the Toho version, obviously, the Japanese version. Yeah. And then Terry Morse did the American stuff. He directed Fog Island, which I watched about a year or two ago, which wasn't too bad. Lionel Atwill and George Zucco are both in it. So they're two of my B-movie heavies that I kind of dig. And then he did some of the Charlie Chan movies, the Sidney Choler ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice, yeah. So, but he was, I think, mostly known as a pretty decent editor, which is why they hired him to do this, because they knew that they were going to have to edit things in to make it work and everything.
Yeah. They did have to edit a lot.
They did, and this is going to devolve into Gojira versus Godzilla, because you can't help it. It's just the way it kind of is. I'm going to let you kind of run with this for a minute. Godzilla. So when was the last time you actually sat down and watched Godzilla King of the Monsters?
It's been a little while. Okay. Well, I catch it every so often, but it's been a while
sit down and really watch it.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Okay, all right.
10 years maybe.
So you've gone back to it and refreshed yourself. Yeah. Now. So what do you think?
Yeah. I've always enjoyed this version. I know it's not as good as Gojira, but it's not as depressing also as Gojira. But then again, going back and watching this one made me want to go back and watch Gojira.
Yes, it did. Me too. Yep.
Yeah. But you know what? I kept thinking that most of the time I was watching it until there's about the last 15 or 20 minutes of Godzilla to me is just as good as Gojira because I like it because Raymond Burr is awesome. And for me is the reason I like the American version, because it's not like Raymond Burr's doing Perry Mason. He's not knocking it out of the park, but he's just standing there kind of talking about what's happening, what's going on. And I like it because he's kind of stoic and he's just explaining what's happening. And he says, right before he says it's Steve Martin signing off from Tokyo. He's like, this is it, and I love it. It's just one of my favorite parts in all horror or monster movies is I don't know, for some reason, I've always liked that part. Now, when I was younger, and I still do this, I like to laugh at the parts where they stick him in and they edit it together. And basically what this movie is, it's Raymond Burr being stuck into the outskirts of any scene of Gojira.
Right.
Everywhere he's at. And the funniest parts to me, even as a kid, I used to laugh because every person that's in Gojira is all you see is the back of their heads in Godzilla King of the Monsters anytime they're in a scene with Raymond Burr.
Right.
It's awesome. It's awesome to me. I think it's hilarious. I love it. But it's some of it's very awkward.
Yeah.
Very awkward and painful. Painfully awkward.
Right.
But the problem is, Timo, the way Gojira is shot is completely different from the way Godzilla is shot. And you could just tell in the black and white. Now, okay, we're watching black and white. But the better that this movie's gotten over the years, the more they've cleaned it up, the worse it is on your eyes because it's shocking. To me, it is. I don't know if it was to you, but it is. It's shocking. The difference in tone. And I particularly like the tone of Gojira much better than the black and white tone of Godzilla. But, I love this movie. I still do. I still think this is good, but I'm going to go back and watch Gojira.
Yeah. I have the Criterion Blu-ray. It doesn't look very good.
Or had.
Yeah, it does not look very good. Yeah. I don't know why. I think that the source material might just be shit.
I think it is. to me, is the greatest of the greatest giant monster movies. As much as I like King Kong, and I'm not trying to King Kong because King Kong is a good movie. It's a better movie than Godzilla, but it's not. Godzilla's or Gojira or whatever. It's to me, it's up there almost with like a Nosferatu and stuff like that.
Well, the Godzilla is more of a villain too than King Kong is more.
Yes.
Godzilla comes to Tokyo. King Kong's brought to New York.
Yes.
So there's a big difference there in what's going on. And there's I don't think there's any comparing Godzilla and King Kong. I don't. It's just not. Yeah. Now, Gojira and King Kong are still very different movies. And they're about very different things too.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's hard to, but I think Gojira is the greatest of the giant monster movies for me because of the tone and that it's not a happy-go-lucky. You don't feel sorry for Godzilla. You feel like when he first shows up to that island and we talked about this even before we reviewed it, because the problem I have with it is the actual monster Godzilla, because a lot of it is very wonky to me.
It's a puppet.
There's googly eyes. There's one part where I just can't take it. I hate it. And I have since I was a kid, but I can't do nothing about it.
Right.
But as a whole, it's just great. When Godzilla first shows up to that island, and it's just, there's not much, you don't see much of them. There's destruction, but then the rain shows up and the floods start happening and that family gets crushed and the one kid's out there and he's just screaming, because his family just got crushed in front of him. Mm-hmm. It's a very intense, and you know what I'm talking about coming from, you watch a lot more Japanese cinema than I do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that was some hardcore stuff. And that's what I like about it. It's very, I don't know. That's just my opinion. The film itself is so well made to me. And I know there's a lot of rubber suited monster in it. And there's a lot of, but so we did it too, though. And our stuff, for some reason, the Americans had a better way of making little scene sets look better and more realistic, though. I don't know.
At times,
to me,
I mean, I think,
times, exactly.
Well, I think the Japanese were very brash about it. I mean, but then again, we made War of the Worlds, which is miniatures and things like that. But you're right; they were shot maybe just a little bit
better.
But we're talking very different cultures, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Godzilla King of the Monsters to me is a little silly diversion. That's my personal opinion. I think that I'm not blaming Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr was, to me, this is what Godzilla King of the Monsters looks like to me. It looks like Raymond Burr did an American 1950s Jack Arnold big bug movie. Yeah. And they took scenes of that with the temperament of the 50s big bug movies. Okay. And then they spliced that in with this serious drama.
Yeah.
Japanese drama about a creature that's destroying their home, which is clearly it's a metaphor for the atomic bomb. I know that. Everybody knows that. And
also for them losing the World War II.
Well, and there was also the atomic testing that hit the Japanese shipping boat. That the beginning of the movie is very close to, or at least the beginning of Gojira is supposed to be that, basically. So a lot of this is based on reality.
Punished, Timo. Punished.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this is based on reality. The only thing not real was the creature was a bomb in one case, and it's a big lizard guy in another case. But a couple of things about this. The problem I have with Godzilla in this, okay, it kind of looks like a charbroiled cat. When they have like little puppet, and as I was watching it, I'm like, did they not think that the suit would hold up to a close up scrutiny better than the fucking puppet? And then when I thought about it, and I started watching, I was like, you know what? I don't think this Godzilla can move its mouth.
Yeah,
the suit. Yeah. I don't think the Godzilla suit. And he's like, what's moving? I was like, no, he's bouncing up and down. The mouth is kind of coming up and down. I go, but I don't think it can move. I understand the dangers of having like that mist or whatever, that green mist, or it's supposed to be fire.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really fire yet. It was like heat, like a heat mist or something. It was supposed to be fire. But I can understand not wanting to have an actor's forehead against the pipe of heat coming in. I get that part, but I don't even, every time the thing roared or moved its mouth, it was a puppet. And it was really bad is every time it like bit onto something, God, it looked like,
it's very rubber.
It looked like lamb chops. It did look like lamb chops. And I mean, I'm like, oh my God, so I think what happened.
That's my problem with the movie. That's my problem with
right.
And that's why, even though I think this is the, whatever, I've had the problem. That's why I've always been searching for that Godzilla movie that, because I don't want that. I don't, I want to see the Godzilla look good, but have the serious tone of that original. You know what I'm saying? And there's parts where it looks fantastic. And watching it this time, I had to step back and think, Ben, you're watching it's a 1950s movie, man.
Right. That's true. Right.
And this is good, the best of what they could do at the time. At the time, they were knocking the stuff out of the park. Now, they probably would have done it stop motion if we'd have done it, but I don't think I would have liked the stop motion.
Well, they were going to. They thought about it. And as a matter of fact, what they said is the Japanese didn't have a stop motion animator that was good enough to do it. But if you notice, because I did, there is stop motion.
Oh yeah, and some of it is
jarring me. I forgot about it. It is a very very short burst of it, but it's there.
It's fast.
It is fast, but it is there, and it kind of make my problem.
I think he did a lot of it with his tail.
But my problem is when I talked about those two movies being spliced together. The issue I have is that the American story mixed in with the Japanese special effects makes it look more like the giant claw than if you take Gojira, which is a very serious film, and it allows you to forgive some of those things because you're in the midst of a very dramatic and very heartfelt and dark story. And you're like, well, there's a puppet, but still a puppet fucking killed this person I've been following around. I know this whole family. I know this and that. When you're watching Godzilla, King of the Monsters, you get very short little bursts of these major characters from Gojira. And I'll include the one thing that really jumps out to me is Takashi Shimura. Now, Takashi Shimura, who played Dr. Yamane, who was I guess the main girl's father. He was the real stoic guy that was talking to the military and everything, the old wise man or whatever. That guy, he had the faces. That guy is not only in more Godzilla movies, like he's in Ghidorah, he's in Frankenstein Conquers the World. Okay. But he's also one of the main Kurosawa guys. He's a star of Akiru. He's in Stray Dog. He's in Sanjuro. He's in Seven Samurai. And he's even in Quaiden or whatever. It's a ghost story. This guy is. Yeah,
he's been around. I know he's.
I mean, I'm trying to.
He's great.
He's the. Oh, geez, I don't even know what to call him. He's a John Wayne or something. He's a giant star over there, and his credibility in any of these movies brings it up a spot or two. And if you've seen him in these Kurosawa movies, Akiru, he's playing a guy dying of like a stomach ulcer or cancer or something like that, and he's going around his last couple days trying to live life to its fullest, and it's him. I mean, that is not Godzilla. But the problem I have with it is that Gojira is as serious as a heart attack.
Oh, it is. It's
and just watch the first 10 minutes of it, because what happened was, I told Angio, I said, this can't look that bad. Just the transfer. When we were watching Godzilla King of the Monsters, because I got the Criterion Blu-ray, I said it's jarring how cleaned up the American stuff looks versus the Japanese stuff. So let me just throw in the Japanese version real quick to see if it's about the same. It is about the same. Not very good. I don't know. I guess they didn't take care of the prints, I guess. I don't know, but it didn't look very good. I was really shocked they couldn't do more with what I was seeing. But anyway, and the first 10 minutes of it sucked me right in. I was watching this spooky, dark story, and I'm like, and I looked over to Angio, and I was like, this is the difference. This is the difference. Now, I do like Raymond Burr's parts. I wish they would have taken what he did and made a different monster movie. Because
they
it
could have
doesn't
done that.
match
Or
well.
no, it really doesn't match well, Tim. Mostly for the fact that I think because it's cleaned up so good. Now,
It's
as a
definitely
kid,
part of it. Yeah, definitely part of it.
it did not. I didn't notice it near as much until I got older, and then I started to notice. And what's so funny is, God, and it's weird, buddy, because I used to know these movies like inside and out, all of the Godzilla films. Not so much Godzilla's Revenge, because that movie sucks, and I didn't care for it. But all the rest of them, but like, it just, I had a hard time with some of these because of the tone, or of actually both Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Gojira. But as I've gotten older, I appreciate it because I've gone back and watched Gojira many times just by myself, and people just because I'm like, not many people wanted to sit down and watch it with me, really. Oh, my good friends, but not me. And I remember watching Gojira on a little bit of some hallucinogens one time, and that was about the only time I had fun with it. So other than that, but you know what? It is what it is. It's a dark, and that's why I love it. And I can't dog out on Godzilla, King of the Monsters, because I love it almost as much. It's not the same movie, nowhere near. But I love it because that was my first taste of Godzilla as a kid. Really, that stuff. It really was. And seeing Raymond Burr for me, all my life has given that to those movies weight to me to say, you know what, Raymond Burr was in Godzilla, so shut up. And that's how I feel. Right. So, and I am. I'm still, and to me, I'm standing on this, and we might maybe. So a couple years down the road, we'll have to do Gojira, and I'd like to review that. So.
Well, I hate to say this, but it reminds me of Bruce Lee in Game of Death, where they have like the cardboard faces on,
and it's painful.
It's distracting because the whole time they're trying to convince you it's not what it is. And to me, Godzilla, King of the Monsters is distracting because it's trying to convince you it's not what it is. And it really, to be honest with you, it throws me out of the movie. And it bothers me because it's the two parts are like oil and water.
Yes.
So when I'm watching for instance, okay. So to watch the Japanese version, I just said, it's as serious as a heart attack. And it allows you to forgive some of the puppet parts because you're right. Some of the suit, the lighting was really good for a black and white movie too, because sometimes it's dark enough where the suit, it's creepy. I mean, it's like, it's a guy in a suit.
Fire in the background.
Yes.
It looks great.
Yeah, you're right. And so we got all that stuff. The American stuff in Godzilla, King of the Monsters makes the Japanese stuff painfully boring. And what I mean by that is the acting. The story is a second. They try to turn the story of the Japanese characters into a subplot. And in Gojira, there is no such thing. Those are the main people in the film in Gojira. The people that they're the subplotted people, the American one. So it makes those parts horribly boring. Because almost in an awful way, it makes them inconsequential. You don't care about them. They're just the Japanese people. And I'm not going there. Don't get me wrong. But it makes me, it pulls you into this unfortunate spot where you're like, well, we have the American guy. As long as he's safe, we're good. You know, and that kind of like takes that darkness that you're talking about out of it. And I think that's the part that makes me very uncomfortable with this version. The interesting thing is I saw this the first time. I was a little older when I saw this. I was like 12 when I saw the first Godzilla, and I had seen many Godzilla movies before that. And I was freaked out to see there was a black and white Godzilla movie that he didn't fight anybody, and it was just a monster movie. But I saw this version. I saw the Godzilla King of the Monsters. The same night, I saw Mad Monster Party for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I remember it. And I saw these two movies. I was like, wow, And I always remembered the beginning being very stark of this movie.
Yes.
Where it's very good. It's like, oh my gosh, look at that. Look what's happened. And it sets you up for the destruction ahead.
It does.
Unfortunately, I think that's the best part. And I do like when he says Steve Martin signing off, it's a little stiff. It's a little stiff, but
it's good. I like it.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Yeah. You don't see a lot of people in the buildings in these movies when they come tumbling down. You just see the buildings usually come tumbling down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So it's interesting. Unfortunately, I got to tell you, Harley, I love Gojira.
Yeah.
And I this to me is a curious, interesting thing at this point in my life. I don't like it because I think it hurts. When someone says, man, have you seen the original Godzilla? It's amazing. They think of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a hard time with that because I think what most people are meaning is Gojira. And I think for you, this is a watershed moment probably because it brought you to the party.
Yeah.
It brought you to the table. It said, hey, this is Godzilla. You're going to see a way better version of this, but you're never going to forget this because it's going to change your life. Right, I didn't have that with this movie. I saw it later on.
Yeah.
And I didn't, it was okay. But I remember thinking, God, Godzilla sucks. I remember thinking that when I was a kid, and it was the puppet. It wasn't Godzilla looked like Godzilla to me. I mean, he always looked like a guy in a rubber suit, but it was the little puppet. And I remember thinking, they didn't do that in the other movies. Why are they doing that? That's awful. Well, I'm watching it this time again. I looked and was like, that's got to be just emotion, just to make it more articulated, or whatever. When it's close, it just doesn't work. It looks bad. For your scale issues too, it's funny. I did see that they changed the scale for the American version. So the American version is 400 feet. The Japanese version, he's supposed to be 150 feet. The reason is because the Japanese buildings are shorter due to earthquake standards.
Okay.
So their buildings are shorter. You see, so he's shorter. But if you wanted to make the Americans impressed, we have taller buildings. You need to make them 400 feet. So he grew a lot.
Yeah, good.
But it's just words. He didn't grow on screen. He just grew.
No, he grew in words.
The Japanese part is a great idea. Maybe part of the American thing for me is too, I don't like it when American producers don't give us any credit to be able to sit through Gojira with subtitles.
Yeah,
I get offended a little bit.
I do too. But I'm sure we would have as kids. But and maybe I'm being a jerk too.
Well, Seven Samurai is a huge classic, and it came out the same year. As a matter of fact, did you know that this was nominated for Best Picture in the Japanese Academy Awards?
Godzilla was?
Yeah, it lost to Seven Samurai.
Yeah, jackasses.
But I mean, same actors in some of it too. But I'm just saying, that's how big of a movie it was. There, this wasn't nominated for a Razzie here. So that's a difference. That's a difference in the two movies. So I understand. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I understand where you're coming from. I explain myself, but I am still going to on this movie. But it's only versus Gojira because I'm upset that it doesn't connect well for me. Will I go back and watch it? Of course. Did I have fun watching it? It was a little uncomfortable because I was like, God, this doesn't match. It's just kind of it's sort of insulting to my intelligence, I guess, to do it this way. And I'm like, you didn't. The original is so good. It's so good. And I love Gojira so much. And I love the Godzilla movie. I don't like Godzilla Raids Again. I don't like that one.
Film.
I think we can all agree that. I think even if we had we had the other Godzilla freak, Mark Diamond, sitting here with us, I have a feeling he might agree with that as well. At least it's the weakest of most of them.
It started the Godzilla that we all kind of knew throughout the 60s and 70s or whatever. It really did.
It did.
It's not a good movie. It's not a very good film. No, you broke my heart, Timo. You broke my heart.
I got to be honest with you. Now, you have to understand, you do know where I'm coming from, though. I'm not saying...
Exactly. Well, even as a kid, I knew about both films. But I said, for me, I just figured as a kid, because of Japanese and American stuff that and the monster movies that they were different. So in Japan they were different than they were here. So I just kind of figured, and I just knew that Gojira was much more. And actually, I think why I liked Godzilla King of the Monsters at the time was because it wasn't dark and depressing. It was reminiscent of my giant monster movies, Tarantula and all those stuff, And so I was okay with it. But as I've gotten older, I understand, as like Orca did for me. Orca made me, a Richard Harris fan. Godzilla King of the Monsters made me a Raymond Burr fan for life. And I don't hunt down a bunch of Raymond Burr stuff and watch it because of, but I like Perry Mason and I like him as an actor. I really do. I do. I just think he commands the presence. He's not the greatest actor of all time by any means, but I just like Raymond Burr.
Well, let me do this. Okay. Pooping on it might be a little hard, but I'm trying to, I'm trying to be honest. I don't want to. I'm going to tell you this as much. I can't Great Ape Up. I can't because of the individual parts. They don't mix together. They just don't. They don't mix together. And I can't honestly, as a reviewer, I can't honestly say, but what's cool about it, and I think you are way more on board with me than you want to be, because it had the same effect on both of us. It made us want to watch Gojira.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
sure.
that there's
but I've seen this one enough that I need to go back and go watch Gojira and appreciate it. Because like I told you, well, not told you, but like we talked about, I've stopped my quest for the Gone with the Wind of Godzilla movies because they made it and it's called Gojira. Yeah. And I just, you know what I mean? So that's part of my quest is watching this one and then going back to Gojira.
Right.
Sure. So, because I do, this one as a kid to me, I liked it because it had Raymond Burr in it. And that's the simple fact. And the fact of I liked him talking about what was going on. And he wasn't screaming and yelling and freaking out and overacting. He might have been underacting a little, but I still enjoyed. But I will say this, though. They did, even though most of the first half of this film, I was laughing about the cuts and the edits. But I knew them. But I just hadn't seen them in so long. But there were some really good ones, too, that if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't. A lot of people that would watch this movie wouldn't know because they wouldn't know about it. Well,
it reminded me of the Blade Runner cut where Harrison Ford does the narration. Where I think it hurt it more than I'm like, I understand what's going on. I'm doing this as a reviewer saying you got to see Gojira. This to me is a very interesting curiosity to me.
If you haven't seen Gojira, you don't know. You haven't seen Godzilla. You haven't.
Right.
As much as I love Godzilla, Smog Monster is still and probably will always be my favorite Godzilla movie, bar none. Love that film, and that's almost like Gojira in its tone, and there's death in it. There's consequence, Timo, is what I'm getting at. Toxic consequence, just like nuclear consequence in the first one. So, there it is.
Right.
There it is for me. Yes. Hey, I just made a connection, buddy.
There you go.
For myself.
There you go.
But so, hey, I still think Gojira is the greatest giant monster film ever made. I will still stick by that.
Right.
But this one, I'm giving it a Great Ape Up. I have to. This is my man. I tickle the rafters a little bit more, but I see the pimples in it that I knew were there, but they were a little more glaring. The older that this gets and the better it looks, right. But whatever. You gotta look at the back of the heads of people.
My frustration is I have to defend Gojira because of this movie. So that's where I'm coming from a little bit more than
I get you, buddy.
Yeah. So for you, that's why I said for you, it's a personal moment. I don't doubt it at all. Like what you're saying. I mean, for me, it's not that, but I have to defend because I was so overcome when I saw Gojira. I was so thrown off the beaten path because as a kid who grew up with Godzilla movies and this one, Godzilla King of the Monsters, when I saw Gojira, I was like, this is a totally different animal, man.
Oh, it's totally
different. Metaphorically and not. It's a totally different animal, man. And
it was just harder for me to watch as a kid.
I understand that.
Because it was so depressing, and I felt so bad for everybody in it too. And I was like, I just want to see Godzilla punching people out. You know what I mean? I don't want to see not people. I want to see him punching Gigan out.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Or I want to see him fucking wrestling with Ghidra and stuff. but there are some serious tones in those other ones too. They really are. You just have to look for it. It's not just guys in rubber suits jumping around and stuff either.
Right.
There are serious tones in those, but it was just on a Saturday afternoon. For me, it was much more fun to watch Ghidorah against Godzilla than it was to watch Godzilla.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely,
you know
it was. Yeah. There was half the movie. But no, it's more fun. Look, I'm on board with you there, man. I like the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I get you. I totally get you. I think we're basically saying the same things. You just have a special spot. I understand that. For you, it brought you to Gojira. For me, it makes me defend it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Gojira for me is like, oh God, I don't even know, Timo. It's hard for me to categorize that one. Because I love it so much, but then I have problems with it too so much,
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's the greatest Godzilla film's ever been made.
Yeah,
it's like one of the greatest.
Question. Yeah,
it's one of the greatest films that's ever been made. But it's okay. Here, let me put it like this way: I love Private Ryan. Love me some Private Ryan. I'm gonna have a hard time watching Private Ryan a lot because it's so depressing.
Mm-hmm.
You know me; I haven't watched Schindler's List yet, and everybody tells me watch it because I know going into it. Oh fuck! and seriously, to me, Godzilla.
I even gave it to you, didn't I?
Yeah. And people really don't understand. If you haven't seen Godzilla, it's a hard movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's about 150 foot, rubber suited monster.
Mm-hmm.
But man, what the other stuff, you have to understand when that was made. And okay, if you made that same movie nowadays with that monster and that bleak and in black and white and stuff like that, people would be flipping out.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? How good it is. It still is. The monster does take away from it some, but
it takes away from both versions. Actually, to be honest with you, the little puppet thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's
just
you jump back into a serious movie after that, so you just realize you realize the limitations of it more.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know what? God bless it, because he's my favorite actor. He was young in his career.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you expect? He was young in his career,
right,
and he grew to be very handsome. So there we go.
Well, I mean, I think I have a little bit of a problem where you love the parts too in the movie. So it's like toward the end, like I look at like Raymond Burr just standing there looking on, and they just keep showing shots of Raymond Burr like staring at things happening. It's like, man, and it's just drawing you away from what it, and I know it's supposed to. I know what it's supposed to be doing. I think the success of the film is the legacy of it more than the quality of it. And I think that with Gojira, it's both. It's the quality too. I can't dismiss Godzilla King of the Monsters. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, when it comes to that debate, I'm just one of those people who I can't say this one is it's that great. I think it without a monster to wrestle with, it's even worse with this one. And I just don't like the recipe. The pieces of it, I think, are fine. I would have put it together in a different way. I wouldn't have made it so centric toward Raymond Burr because he's just not there. I mean, he's clearly not there, like in a lot of it. And I think even to a small child, maybe back in 54.
Well, Tim, I think you made the perfect point. Is they did not think that we could accept that, and also the fact that they're not. It was too depressing for American audiences. And that's for what they thought. And I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say it probably was for 70% of the American audience. It's just too depressing.
Yeah,
it's
less than a decade after we bombed them. We didn't want to see you know how it is. You want to win, but you don't want to see the damage he caused.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's like, we didn't really want to see Japan get destroyed again. That was not,
right.
That really wasn't. I mean, as much as we wanted to win, you don't want to see that as a human. You just want things, you want the world to run smooth, right? You don't want wars. You don't want this and that.
Yeah.
And it was a reminder for the adults. For the kids, I get it. For Danny Hicks, who went and saw this, he probably thought it was it was like, it was heaven on earth, seeing it and stuff like that. And I wish I could have had
it was for me when I was
kind
a kid.
of. Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, I do wish I would have had that.
Well, all these movies were, buddy. All of them were. All the giant monster.
Right. King Kong was like that for me. I'm more of a King Kong guy, but but Godzilla to me was different. It was a totally different deal for different reasons. I love both of them. But I can't say I'm with you and Mark Diamond on the Godzilla thing. But I'm not that hyped up on King Kong either. But they're up there.
Sure.
They're up there. I watch King Kong once every year or two. The old one, the original one.
It's a great film. Yeah,
it is wonderful.
One of the greatest films ever made.
And it's not like it's not the last time I'll watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's not, because it's a curiosity to me. Certainly not the last time I'm going to watch Gojira. One of the reasons I put the damn screen up is because when we started watching Godzilla King of the Monsters, I thought I'd love to see this on a theater screen.
Yeah.
Even though it's an old black and white, junky, whatever, I still wanted to see it on a theater screen. But I told Angio, let's put it up, and when we do, we'll watch Gojira.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what, though, Timo, one thing I was impressed with and still am with this film, though, and I know because we've been dogging on poor Godzilla, is I thought the sound was good in it, though. The original roar right at the beginning, is damn good. And I try to put myself in that time period and think just that noise right off the bat would have been like, wow, whoa, what are we getting ourselves into?
Right.
And
the score is one of the best scores ever written.
It's great.
The music it's one of the best ever written. It's insane. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I was actually playing it while I was putting my screen up just to listen to the music.
Yeah.
I was watching the Gojira credits because they go on for a while.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. It's like, yes, this is great. So again, I think I'm being the conscience of the show. How about that?
Yeah, no,
that's what I'm doing. I'm being the conscience of the show, saying, okay, we both had a ball, both got kicked out of this. I got upset how it hurt the Japanese part of it. I did.
Sure.
I really got upset how it hurt it. I didn't perceive that before. How bad it hurt that, and then
I've kind of always known, but not that it hurt it that much. I saw that a little bit more this time, but I've always just kind of known it's just not the same film. But I don't know. It's just I guess because I've watched so many silly Godzilla movies, I don't get hurt too much by them until recently. Then I'm all hurt like. Whatever, dude. It's Godzilla. It's about a giant lizard, my friend. And
apparently, he was only 2 million years old.
Yeah, he had troglodytes. Or what was his things on his feet? He had the little. What were they? Not troglodytes.
I don't know. A prehistoric creature from 2 million years ago. What?
Years ago? Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Those things are roaming around. Well, according to geology, at least, from I don't know, but our archaeology or whatever, fossil records, whatever you want to say. That's not what they're saying now, at least. So that story is a changing, I guess. But look, you're going to give us a big, great bape up. I know that.
Yeah,
I'm being the conscious of the show by saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm being intellectually honest about it. But I've been very clear about all this stuff, how I feel. I think you have too. And I think where we're at, is never going to change. This is the great Godzilla debate. Godzilla King of the Monsters Gojira debate. It's there front and center. And I think we've articulated it fairly well. So, and this argument will go on forever and ever on the show and off the show. It'll go on and on and on. And it's a wonderful debate to have. It's a wonderful debate to have. I mean, I'd love debating Godzilla movies much more than, I don't know, politics. How about that? It's much more fun to do this. So.
Yeah, it's gotten me in trouble lately. I don't even talk about it.
Well, I'm sorry, but
the grief,
yeah. But all right, let's get out of here, Mr. Holly. We're running long, so I don't know what we're doing next week. But I'm gonna give the bass player in Fragile Porcelain Mice, Dave Winkle, a little shout out with a real quick. I'm gonna give that for Godzilla King of the Monster. You're gonna great babe puppet. We're both pooping all over the hell. Doomwatch.
Oh.
And we do have 2 eco horror movies here, so maybe it's an eco horror week, I guess, here on the Tim O'Reilly Show. So, yes. Nice. So, although I will admit,
eco-friendly.
I will admit, I'll take a Godzilla monster in Doomwatch. That's fine. I don't care if you splice that shit in or not. So I may be a little hypocritical there. Who knows? So, all right. Well, till next week, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show. Brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.